So now we get into another personal favorite, which is called Use What You Got. And literally, we are going to use what we got in the answer choices to make our lives easier rather than trying to come up with a complicated equation to translate these really long, convoluted word questions. So in general, you want to use the Use What You Got technique on long word questions that have numbers in the answer choices. And what you're going to do is you're going to test out the answer choices to see if any of them make sense. So in this particular question, it says that Katrina was biking up and down the mountain by the same path. So that's really helpful. So we know that the distance up and back down is the same. So going up, going down, same exact distance because it's the same path. It tells us that the total trip took her 10 hours. So going up and back down took her 10 hours. And then it tells us that she biked at 2 miles per hour going up and at 3 miles per hour going down. So now the question wants us to know the distance from the base to the top. We can create a pretty involved equation to get us this answer, but this question was actually one of the last 2 questions on a former SAT, so we know that it's really hard, and we know that by doing it the traditional way, by making an equation, we're gonna probably run into a careless mistake or 2, which we hate. So rather than doing it the hard way, we're gonna do it the easy way and use what we have to see what we can eliminate. Now, when we use what we have, we want to be methodical about it. We don't want to waste our time testing out all 5 answer choices because that is total waste of time and it's not saving us any. What you want to do is think about it strategically. Because if you start with C, what you're going to notice is that every single SAT question is written in order of least to greatest or greatest to least. So if you start out with C and you realize that C is too big, you're only going to have 2 more answer choices to try out. Because if that's too big, then you know that those are definitely too big. Same thing as if you realize C is too small, you can then get rid of 3 answer choices at once and you only have 2 left to try out. The only times you don't want to start with C are if a question specifically asks you for the greatest possible or the least possible amount. Because if it's the greatest possible, let's say you start with C and C actually works out, you could then circle C, but you might not have realized that E also works out. So if they're asking you specifically for the greatest possible, you always want to start with the greatest and work your way lower. Vice versa, when they ask you for the least possible, you want to start with the lowest and work your way up. So looking at this question, it doesn't ask us for the greatest, it just asks us for a number, so we're going to start with C. So if we say that it's 15 miles up from the base to the top of the mountain, we're going to test that out using the information we have to see if that's correct. So if we go 15 miles at 2 miles per hour, that's going to be 7.5 hours of biking. Then coming back down, if we go 3 miles per hour, that's going to take us another 5 hours of biking. So if we add those together, we end up with 12.5 hours of biking, but at the beginning of the question it told us that it only took us 10 hours. So now we know that that's way too big, and we're going to be able to get rid of 3 at once. Then we go up to 12 and we try that one out. So if our journey was 12 miles and we're biking up at 2 miles per hour, 12 miles going 2 miles per hour is going to take us 6 hours. And then coming back, 3 miles per hour going 12 miles is going to be 4 hours. And if we add up 6 and 4, we get a big smiley face because that is our answer. And we answered correctly a level 5 question in a super short amount of time with basic arithmetic. And that should be really, really awesome for all of you.